Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of this no indexing shadow ban kind of discussion we're having. This is literally part 2. So if you haven't watched part 1, I highly recommend you go back and watch part 2. What you guys are looking at is an example of a product that is not indexed. Redbubble does not want it to be indexed, okay? Now, there's a reason for that, okay? Now, I'm going to talk about being shadow banned. I'm going to be talking about no indexing and how they link, okay? So, today is really about shadow banning, being shadow banned on Redbubble. But I want to just go ahead and show you guys something. I'm going to take this title of this product and paste it into Google, okay? I already done this, but I want to show you guys something. Now, before you get a little excited and say, wait a minute, that product is no indexed, yet it exists here on Google, I want you to really think about this real quick. Take a look at this, guys. So this product here, this exact product, is not indexed. You can see here it says no index. It's not indexed, right? Now, if I take the exact title word for word and I search it on Google, notice there are products that are similar that comes up, like this one on Google, but it does not actually come up. Now, I want you to ask yourself, why is that? Why is it that this product was chosen by Redbubble not to exist or in the search or not to be indexed, meanwhile this one was? Now, mind you, Redbubble as a platform chooses what is being indexed and what is not being indexed. It chooses this, meaning Redbubble is the one that makes the decision, not Google, okay? Now, Google has the end decision whether to put you on the search engine or not, whether it says index or no index. A lot of people think that just because it says no index, that does not mean that it won't be found in the search engines. That is not true. Google can still choose what is picked in the search engine. However, I want you to look at this. Now, there's a big critical difference here, okay? This is a larger image in higher quality, pixels. This image here is not. It could be, and this is my assumption, that this image was stolen and taken from this one. That could be it. Redbubble is maybe installing certain factors to protect you as the original creator. So for one, if you are experiencing no index issues perpetually, and remember, I told you guys, go back and watch version 1, because if you don't get what I'm saying here now, the version 1 is, if you didn't watch version 1, version 2 might not make sense for you. Part 2 might not make sense. This video might not make sense if you don't go back and watch the first video. But regardless, if you're complaining about no index perpetually, meaning every single design on your store is no indexed, there could be a chance where you did something you shouldn't have. You stole something you shouldn't have. And based on your keywords, based on the title, based on the way that you created your art, Redbubble understands through your keywords, through your tags, through your titles, the combination of them, that you did something dirty here. You stole something. And they chose not to index you. Remember, Redbubble is the one that makes this decision. Now, with this whole no indexing, shadow banning thing, that's really not the concept of today's video. This was just something that I thought to provoke certain thought, to create as food for thought, okay? For all the people who are out there scamming and stealing and copying people's work and thinking that that's okay, and you're okay with that, maybe you get what you deserve, maybe. But now, let's go ahead, and that was just food for thought, but let's talk about the actual concept of today's video. I'm going to use this design as an example. And I've actually done this pre-video, just to make sure, multiple times. What I tend to see is that there is an interlinking between a shadow ban and a no index. Now, some people might say, well, obviously, they're the same thing, but they are not the same thing. A no index is simply a tag that you put on your website, right? For something that you don't want to pop up. In the case of Redbubble, whatever motivation that they have that to permanently exist on a design is the motivation they have, right? Whether it be they're copying people's work, they're stealing people's work, whether it be a spammy design, a design where there's millions and millions of results other than that design, whatever the main reason might be, it exists for some reason, right? Redbubble's not going to tell us why, but it exists. If I reverse engineer the process, okay, as a consumer, and I did this, I'm telling you I did this. I'm not assuming, I'm telling you this is fact. If I take the category of product where this is supposed to exist, and maybe this will come up, I don't know, but let's just go ahead and go on Redbubble here and search for this exact product. And the reason why I want to do this is because I've found something out here. This product, okay, they're the same product. If I'm internally searching within Redbubble, it appears. But if I search for this on Google, it will not appear in terms of category. And I'll explain what I mean. Let me go ahead and remove the keyword iPhone. Maybe I can remove Baton Rouge. Okay. I want this design to pop up, and it's important to me. And you could see this whole design was just literally abused by thieves. I mean, you could just see how many people took that exact design and literally started copying it. But you look here, this person is called the Dayrum Shop, whatever. When I search for something like this on Google, this exact piece of art that is no indexed does not appear on the products here. It does not appear when I search it on Google. But when I search it in Redbubble, it does appear. I'm going to say that for some of the designs that are no index, they are also shadow banned. Now, what's a shadow ban? A shadow ban is something that literally does not appear on purpose, right? So, for example, if I search for, I'll use a Hulk example as this is a better example. If I search for the keyword Hulk, okay, on Redbubble, I might see a certain design that appears. Let's just say this is the design, okay? Now, this design is probably indexed, but let's just say this is the design, okay? Now, this design, if I search for it on Redbubble here, it exists. Assuming that it's no indexed, if it was in this situation, if I was to search for the same category of designs on Redbubble, like if I was to search Redbubble Hulk, okay, on a design that is truly shadow banned, right, this design should not pop up. This design should not pop up here. And I'm specifically talking about the category-based pages. I'm not talking about the single product pop-ups. I'm not talking about something like this. I'm talking about the category-based pages. Now, let me explain why that makes a difference and how, I know I sound scatterbrained right now, but just stay with me, guys, here on this. People perform searches all the time on Google, and Redbubble pops up for a lot of these searches. Redbubble generates 28, 30 million views a month, clicks a month. I mean, it just happens, right? They get a lot of attention, okay? With the amount of attention that they get, okay, a lot of I don't want to say a lot, but a good percentage, whether it be 10, 20, 40, 50, 60, it doesn't matter, a large percentage, a large amount of views are category-based searches. So somebody might search for a certain design or keyword, and when it's a category-based search, Redbubble will show in the search what somebody is searching for as the results, if that makes sense. So if I search for Google like Incredible Hulk t-shirts, if Redbubble ends up ranking what can potentially pop up in a lot of different pages, not just Incredible Hulk, but any kind of search query, this page of the search query results will pop up, if that makes sense. Yes, there will be certain designs that pop up as a single off design, but as a category, this page as a category will pop up. A good example is like this one, for example. It will pop up, okay? I searched for the keyword the Hulk, and the category on Google was connected to Redbubble. It popped up. I clicked the link, and it took me to this page. It didn't take me to a single product. It took me to this page as the first link. Now, granted, there are situations where it does take me to a single page, but a single product page, but you get the point of what I'm trying to say. A design that is truly shadow banned will not show in the search. Meaning, if I search for the keyword Hulk, right? Now, this is the Hulk, but if I search for Hulk and I take that exact search term and the category pops up on Google, right? And I click on it and it does not appear in the search here, that means it is shadow banned. I can, and this is a good example, the Hulk came up on Google. If I just click this manually and hit search, the ones that are shadow banned are now going to appear. Let me say that again because I want to explain how serious this is. On Google, I can go and search for Redbubble Hulk. I can click on a link that will take me to the category of the keywords the Hulk, right? Now, if I search for the Hulk manually, just like this, and I hit the Hulk manually, there are going to be certain designs that pop up that did not appear the first time. Why do you think that is? That is because they are actually shadow banned. And I checked in multiple different regards on different people's private accounts if their designs are truly shadow banned or they're just simply no indexed. And a lot of the times, I'm talking about 6 times out of 10 roughly, the designs that are shadow banned happen to be no indexed, or excuse me, vice versa. The designs that are no indexed also are shadow banned, meaning that if you didn't watch part 1, go back and watch part 1. But if your store doesn't fit in the first category of issues to where some of your designs are indexed and some of your designs are not indexed, then you are probably in the red with Redbubble, if that makes sense. You are probably not favored for some reason. It could be some sort of spammy behavior. It could be some sort of, maybe you've submitted a certain design with certain keywords that they didn't like. It could be a whole host of situations. Unfortunately, we don't know what those situations are because Redbubble doesn't tell us. But what we see, and this is just to connect this video to last video, part 1, is that when you are no indexed, there are certain set circumstances. The first circumstance is that you are waiting your line in the queue. You are simply waiting your spot to be up first. There are designs, and there's stores, where the older designs are indexed, but the newer ones are not. In that case, you could fall into the situation where there's nothing wrong with Redbubble with your store. They are simply taking their time to approve designs and get them indexed and get them out there. When I say approved, I don't necessarily mean approval process with being shown on their marketplace. I'm talking about being shown on Google, right? That's one. The second scenario could be where all of your designs are no index, but it's for a specific reason. It's not going to be for no reason. Now, to validate if it's for a negative reason, if you are in the red, if you have potentially harmed their platform in any way, instead of them removing you off the platform, maybe they'll keep you, but you will not show up for Google-based searches. Now, this is pretty interesting, and I kind of use the Hulk example to reflect what I'm talking about. And I did this, like I told you, multiple times for people that are actually no indexed. People said to me, I'm no indexed. I said, what's your store name? I started dig deeper into the research. When you type up a certain search query on Google and you click on a category-based page, I need to repeat this, a category-based page like this, because this is a category. I search for the keyword the Hulk. The Hulk happens to be a category with 4,280 results with a product grid. When there's a product grid like what you're seeing here, there are certain designs that are going to come up. Those certain designs are in the clear with Redbubble, okay? Now, if I do a manual search and hit the word the Hulk and a new design appears that had not yet appeared before, that means that design is shadow banned because it is not, Redbubble as a platform is not allowing the Google searchers to see your design. Does that make sense? Now, how does this tie into tags? How does this tie into similar designs and solutions? If you guys remember, for all the members who signed up to our Redbubble tag course, this course, the one where we talked about SEO, the one where we talked about tagging, the one where we talked about all that, okay? If you signed up for that course, there was a segment or multiple segments in the course where we talked about relevancy. And when we talk about relevancy, we talk about giving ourselves a shot. If we're not going to end up on the top of the search, right? Let me show you. If we're not going to end up on the top of the search here or in the first page, right? Because if the market is competitive, what is the next option that we want to show up for? And this is a quiz for everybody who joined this course and took the course. You should know the answer to this. If we can't get to the top of the search because of the competitive of the sales, what is the next place on Redbubble where we want to show up for? The answer is in the similar section, right? And I could just hear, everybody saying, oh yeah, I agree, in the similar design section. This is the next place where you want to show up. Well, if you want to show up to this quote-unquote similar section, right? What is the controller of that? How can you control or give yourself the best chance to show up here occasionally, right? Because you can't guarantee it, but occasionally. What can you do? Well, you can control your tags, hence why we have this information in the Redbubble tag course, right? How to get there. With all that being said, right? I want you to think how crazy this is, how insane this is. If somebody performs a Google search, if you're shadow banned, if Redbubble doesn't want you to show up, you are not going to get Google traffic. And if you're in the situation where you are perpetually have a no index on every single product that you ever uploaded, this is a problem. What that means is you're going to have to rely on the similar section to appear. Because once the consumer clicks on a product, now it's fair game. Now it has nothing to do with search, right? Now you can potentially pop up here because it's based on tags. But I want you to see how crazy this is. And hindsight is 20/20 because this all makes sense now. With TeePublic, if you guys are familiar with teepublic.com, I'm going to go into incognito tab because I don't want to show my actual account. But teepublic.com, if you guys are familiar, with teepublic.com, and we released this in the course as well for the TeePublic course, autopilotpassiveincome.com. I'll just show you guys here. Autopilotpassiveincome.com TeePublic course. One of the segments that we talked about is increasing your chance, the TeePublic course, increasing your chance to be approved in the marketplace. Now, Redbubble owns TeePublic, but they didn't own them forever. TeePublic used to be a private platform. But TeePublic is almost the same as Redbubble from a algorithmic perspective, not from a tagging perspective, but from an algorithmic perspective, meaning how the designs are curated in a search format. For example, if I search for dog, right, the algorithmic formulas, the algorithms behind the scenes are doing the same thing here on TeePublic as they're doing on Redbubble if I search the keyword dog. Now, granted, different designs are going to come up because there are different designers on each platform. But if you notice, what makes Redbubble so different than TeePublic, or what makes TeePublic so different than Redbubble? It's that TeePublic has a marketplace approval system. If you don't get approved to the marketplace on TeePublic, you are allowed to create designs all day, every day, but they're never going to be seen in the marketplace. Meaning, I can create a dog design, but if I'm not approved in their system, nobody's going to find my design. Now, they have that technology. If they have the technology to do that, then they definitely have the technology to where somebody who's searching for a keyword through Google ends up on a category-based page, does not find that design, but then performs a in-platform based search and finds that design, just goes to further reinforce my statement about being shadow banned. Is that shadow banning does exist on Redbubble. However, it exists in a much harmful way than what you're expecting. It's not just about being no indexed, but it's about not even appearing for the category that you exist in. How insane is that? I want you to think about that, guys, right? Now, this goes to further explain why it would not even be profitable or beneficial to continue to expect and design on a store that is perpetually no indexed. It becomes not profitable because the first case scenario is if somebody's searching for an exact term match, you won't exist. That's the first one on Google. The second one scenario is if somebody's performing a search for a category, kind of like the Hulk here, and all these different designs pop up, you won't even pop up in there. So it hurts you. It's like a double whammy. It's like 2 hits instead of 1. You are hurting yourself at a maximum level if you believe that you should keep working on a store that's perpetually no indexed, which comes back to the solutions, like I said. The first solution is you can just keep designing and hope somebody searches an in Redbubble search for your design. So, for example, if I search for a design and the design that is no index, this one pops up, then in that case, maybe somebody will buy it, right? But now what you're doing is you have excluded 75% of your normal traffic. Why do I say 75? Because there are 3 scenarios that you're not showing up for. You're only showing up for search here. You are not showing up for when somebody searches you through Google as a one product or image. That's 50% right there. And then the other 25% is when somebody searches for a certain category of designs, you're not showing up. So for example, if I go on Google and I search for the keyword Jesus t-shirt, I can click on it and it will take me to the Jesus category page, like kind of like this. But if my design is shadow banned, it's not showing up to the people who come from Google, right? Now, ask yourself logically, like, be honest with yourself. Why would you think Redbubble, as a community, as a marketplace, would not want to show your design if you are shadow banned to the public who searches from Google? Well, think about it. Reverse engineer the process. People who are not returning visitors to Redbubble do not search redbubble.com. They don't know about Redbubble. They don't know it exists. So they're searching a Google search for the very first time. And they're searching, for example, Jesus shirt for the first example. When they search something like this and they find a Redbubble link with hundreds and hundreds and thousands of products, and they click on it, and Redbubble decides not to show your design, that means that they don't look at you positively. They don't look at you like you're a good account. So once again, this begs the question, what actions have you done in the past to where Google would look at you, Redbubble will look at you and say, this person's account is so bad that we don't even want somebody from Google who is really looking for a first impression on the site. We don't want somebody from Google who's never seen our site before to see your work. Because if they see your work, that's not a good thing. That's why they shadow ban you. Now, what I'm trying to say is, ask yourself, why would Redbubble want to do that? What does Redbubble believe about your account that they would go back and say, you know what? We're not going to deal with this seller. We don't want our first-time searchers, people that don't know the Redbubble brand exists. We're not going to allow your work to be shown to those people because we don't want them to have a bad idea of our platform. Now, it could be for various reasons. It could be spammers. It could be copycats. It could be all these different things. We all know that if you're in the Redbubble space, there's have been significant amount of complaints about the people who spam, about the people who copycat, about the people that abuse the system. Maybe this is Redbubble's internal filter to slow down the amount of abuse that goes on the platform. Maybe that's what it is, right? Like if I create a certain design and Redbubble knows that other people are copying me, maybe it would be smart and respectful, at least there's the respectful thing to do, is to get all those bad people that steal my work not to show up on Google, or even through a search, through a category search, and show up on the category page, like product grid list page for a certain search, because they don't deserve it. They've copied my work. And maybe there's an internal algorithmic decision. Now, here's where it comes to a turning point. If an algorithm is controlling this, then we know that even though there are victors of this effect or this change, there are also victims of this change. There are also victims who are truly honest people that for some reason get caught into the fire. So you could be watching this and you could potentially have the issue where none of your work is indexed. Your whole store is on no index. However, you didn't do anything wrong, and that's potentially possible. That is potentially possible. Now, what is the solution? You have a few solutions. Just like the other video, I'm going to list out the solutions again. The first thing to do, if you're perpetually banned, you have to ask yourself, what is my goal with my store? Was my goal to make as much money as possible from Google? Or was it to just simply use the search engine for Redbubble to get my traffic? If it was to go for Google, then here's two things you could do. The first thing you could do is just simply abandon the store. You can, what's that quote in the Bible, that Bible verse that says, if a tree doesn't bear fruit, then it's good for nothing. It should just be cut down. If you have a store that doesn't bear you fruit, metaphorically speaking, doesn't make you money because it's cut off from Google, it's shadow banned, it's no indexed, right? Perpetually speaking, all your designs, then what's the benefit of it? You have to ask yourself, are you going to keep growing it and building it and building it and building it? Or you're just going to ditch it? That's the first thing. The second thing is, are you connected so much to the point where you feel your designs are valuable? Because if that's the case, you might want to look for other avenues to sell those specific designs. And when I say other avenues, I'm not talking about other marketplaces. I'm talking about a website, for example. If you've seen part 1 of this mini series, we talked about bots and apps. You guys know that I'm not only an affiliate of that company, but an avid user of the products on that brand, on that business. As an affiliate, they send out newsletters. And they send out newsletters to affiliates saying what products we're going to plan on releasing. One of their products that spiked up this whole conversation was a quote-unquote solution for these people that have been no indexed for a very long period of time. And one of those solutions are to, and this is what they're saying that they're going to release, a tool that they're potentially going to release, is that it's a tool that takes all the data from your product on Redbubble, your picture, your variations, your price, all that stuff, and it takes it and it inputs it for you into something like a Shopify store or like a website, like a WordPress, whatever. And you could take that data and you could essentially drop ship your exact design if you're that connected to it, right? If you can't afford to abandon your store because your heart was in it, you're invested in it mentally, emotionally, physically, right? And you don't want to just leave that store to be, well, the first thing is you can't re-upload those designs. You already know something is tainted about that store. Redbubble doesn't look at it positively. So if you re-upload, number one, first of all, you're going against terms of service because Redbubble does not allow that. Redbubble doesn't allow you to re-upload stuff. That's the first thing. And it's not that they don't allow you. They say don't do it. So you're, first of all, going against their policies. But second of all, more importantly, you're uploading something that potentially is already tainted. So it's creating a brand new store and uploading the exact same designs on a new store is not an option. The first option could be abandoning the store and just creating a brand new store and doing new designs completely. Or the second option is taking the data of the products that you worked hard for and uploading it into a custom website that you own where you control if it's being indexed. And that is probably a better solution for about 50% of the people. Because people have this idea that they've already invested too much into their work, which is rightfully so. I can't blame anybody who thinks that way. Imagine if I had a store with, let's say, 1,800 designs. I was working on it for a whole month, and it's getting no index everywhere. I would feel hurt that store, all that work that I put in, is never going to get seen by anybody. So what would I do personally? I would buy a website. I would buy a website domain. I would upload those products. I would take the products that I added, those 1,800 products, and I would take them and upload them to that site. If that product exists, I would take them and upload them to the site to where I can choose for them to be indexed, so that the next time when somebody searches for a product where mine would potentially pop up, I can actually get traffic and I can get sales. And then what I would do is I would fulfill the sales or fulfill the orders from Redbubble. That's exactly what I would do. Now, granted, once again, that product doesn't exist yet. I just simply got a newsletter, but that's what sparked up this whole conversation. Right? When the product exists, if it exists, I will leave a video link in the description saying like part 3. If you want to go and try that product out, you guys might be watching this a year into the future, 6 months into the future, 2 weeks into the future, and maybe the product exists. If it exists, I'll make a video about it. But currently it does not exist because it's just a newsletter. We got the article, whatever. They were telling us they're looking into doing something like that. We don't know how long it's going to take for it to release, but if it releases. But that is a potential solution. Would we not all agree? Right? Like imagine, I created a store, it's not getting indexed, and I know it's not going to get indexed. It's never gotten indexed thus far. Am I just going to just leave all my designs to rot and make me no money? Or am I going to take my hardworking designs that I actually worked on and I expect to make money, put them on a new website, make sure they get indexed so they get traffic. Once they get traffic, they get sales, and then fulfill those sales through Redbubble. That's what I would do. But that's a potential solution. There's a lot of different questions about shadow banning and getting no index and all these things on Redbubble. All we can say is that we're working from our assumptions here. We don't have the data that pinpoints the truth. Because if you actually ask anything of Redbubble, they will completely ignore you on this. And I actually just want to show you guys something. On Redbubble, not on Redbubble, on Reddit, somebody asked something about no index Reddit, and Redbubble deleted the post. They deleted it. Let's see here. Look at this. So I have a no index tag on Redbubble in Reddit, and it says, "Sorry, this post has been removed by the moderators," meaning Redbubble doesn't even want you to know that you're not indexed. They don't want you to even know. So, and they don't even encourage a discussion about it. Now, thankfully, we have YouTube to even talk about this. But that's some serious stuff. And if you ask me, it's a little bit dirty. It's a dirty thing to do. I don't know what to say, but other than the fact that there's some unanswered questions here. Now, it's not like we as sellers can go to Redbubble and demand an answer. We can't just knock on their doors and say, give us an answer, because this stuff is the stuff that's behind closed doors. They can't just tell you that, hey, we don't like the work that you're doing as a seller, so therefore we're going to choose to make nobody see your work ever. But hey, we won't delete your account. You'll just sit there, keep working like a slave all day, keep working on our accounts, and we won't tell you that nobody will ever see your work, but you just keep doing what you're doing. They're not going to tell us that. I find that pretty interesting. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Bye.